In this video, I want to introduce triangles and talk about different types of triangles. A triangle is a shape made from three line segments. All right, so here's an example of a shape made from three line segments. Here's another one. Here's another one. All right, so three straight line segments is the claim to fame of triangles. Okay, now there are different types of triangles, and I'm going to give names to several of them. And what's going to distinguish the different triangles is the properties of their angles and the lengths of their sides. Okay, so suppose that for the first one I had all the line segments were the same length. Okay, that would be called an equilateral triangle. Equilateral means that all three sides are the same. All right, now for the second one, with a little bit of adjustment, let's see if I could make it to appear that you have two sides that are the same, not three but two. So maybe 4, 4, and 5. Okay, if you have two sides that are the same, we call that isosceles. All right, and what if, like this last one, you have none of them are the same? If you have no sides that are like any other side, why, we call that scalene. All right, so write those down and remember those. Those are three types of triangles related, where the grouping is related to the side lengths. Let me now give you some triangle types related to the angle measures. All right, so if I have an angle, if I have a triangle that has all acute angles are angles less than 90 degrees. So for example, maybe this one was 70 and 60 and let's see, 50. Okay, so they're all less than 90, so we call that an acute triangle. All right, what about if I had something like this? Maybe now the angle is 40 and 50 and 130. Okay, in that case, then because we have an obtuse angle, remember obtuse means you have an angle bigger than a right angle, then it's called an obtuse triangle. Okay, now what about if we have a right triangle? So for example, we could have a triangle that we have a 90 degrees, that's represented by a little box symbol, and maybe this one's 30, maybe this one's 60. So we call that, surprise, surprise, a right triangle. Okay, now what if all the angles are the same? So 60, 60, and 60 is in my example. You'll notice that that's the only kind of angle you can have where they're all the same. That is called equiangular. It's not equilateral, although you'll learn later that equiangular and equilateral triangles are the same. But this one's called equiangular. Okay. Now a couple more terms now that I have given you the names of different triangles. Let me go first to the right triangle. So if I have a right triangle, the diagonal, the longest one, the one that's opposite the right triangle, we call that the hypotenuse. All right, weird name for a long line segment. The other ones we call the legs. Okay, so remember that. Now let's go back to the isosceles triangle. Okay, the isosceles triangle had two sides that were the same. That's the middle one, and we call the angle at the top, the one between the two congruent sides, we call that the base angle. and excuse me, we call that not the base angle, we call that the vertex angle. The vertex angle, and then we call the other ones that are not between the two parallel sides, we call those the base angles. So there's two base angles but one vertex angle. Alright, so that's the terminology that I wanted to give you for that. Now let me give you the notation for triangles. Alright, you remember it's the notation for line segments. What we did was we simply stated the endpoints, where the points are represented by letters. Okay, something similar is going to happen for triangles. So suppose I had a triangle, and suppose that the vertices were A, B, and C. We would refer to this triangle as triangle ABC. Alright, you can also call it triangle BCA, or you can even call it CAB or CBA. Alright, you get the idea. The point is, you start at one, any vertex, as it's called, vertex, or where two sides of a triangle meet, and you simply go clockwise or counterclockwise until you've listed all three. Alright, that's how you represent triangle. A little triangle symbol and the three vertex names.